Hello and welcome everybody once again to our second match of the night here at the Overwatch Watchers Brawl. Tonight we're going to be watching Team MetaMorphic go up against BarahNOW for your casting entertainment. As per usual on these wonderful Tuesday nights, you have me, Sir Waltham, on the other end of the table. Once again, my lovely co-caster, Shy Guy.
Yeah, we've had a pretty fun night so far. If you were with us earlier, you saw Citizens take down Nevermore, and now we've got another incredible game to figure out who is going to be meeting Citizens in the winners bracket final.
Yeah, this one will be for kind of all the chips as far as the main bracket goes. However, before we get started, we do have a quick pregame interview. We have the coach of Team MetaMorphic go on, John. John, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Fantastic. How's your, I guess, perhaps more importantly, how's your team feeling?
We're feeling pretty good. We have some pretty good strats going into this.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, has your team been preparing at all with the kind of hero ban system in mind, or trying to kind of expand your compositions and what you are able to play?
Yeah, since our last few matches, we've been working on some strategies for the bans and stuff like that. So we're pretty confident coming into this that we can show that we're a top team and contend against these other very good teams.
This will certainly be one of the matches to do it. Do you guys have a lot of expectations going against your opponents here? BarahNOW, did you guys do like your research, or are you kind of going into this a little bit more blind?
We've definitely done our research. We prepare for all of our tournament games, so we never go in blind.
Okay.
We always know what's up.
Yeah, I like hearing that. I like hearing that teams do their research. It makes me feel a little bit bad for not doing my research on the teams like I should, but I think that the viewers at home can forgive me when they realize that gives them a chance to just absolutely smear the casters. So no worries there. But I know that John, it kind of varies from team to team, but how do you take your role as coach for MetaMorphic?
Well, I take it very seriously. I'm there for almost every single scrim. We scrim 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. And on top of that, we do VOD reviews, so it was prepped for that. Scouting, all of that good stuff. So I take it real seriously. Potentially trying to get a job out of this, so.
Well, I hope that you get to make those dreams one day become reality. But for the time being, looking forward onto the horizon that is this game. I think the teams are just about ready to go. So I think we're going to be tuning in with them. But John, thank you very much for coming in and answering a few questions with us, just hanging out before the match.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure.
Well,
absolutely.
Good luck here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck. Now, Shy Guy, we are going to be hopping on to the side, or onto the map of Lijiang Tower. How are you feeling about this?
I think this is a very good map to start off, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a map where I think teams can really kind of play to their strengths. You can do a lot of different things compositionally, stylistically on this map to really lean into kind of your comfort picks and give us an idea of how you want this series to play out as a whole. As far as these two teams, I know they're both quite good on Lijiang Tower. I believe they both won it in their previous matchups, so we should have a very fun opening map here.
Yeah, I'm certainly expecting that to be the case. I know it doesn't always matter too much based on the ladder system, but both these teams going to be rocking a very close SR, both running around that 4,300 rank, if I remember properly from my casting notes, which I do sometimes take. It's going to be pretty competitive. There's not going to be an easy walk for either side.
No, definitely not. These are probably two of the better teams that we've got in this tournament. I am so excited that we get to be here to see them clash. It does look like both of these teams going to be rolling out with kind of the standard 3-3 composition here. Just going to be kind of duking it out in the meta style.
Yeah, the classic triple-triple. We're going to be seeing it the most standard. You typically tend to see it with the Zenyatta and the Reinhardt. Sometimes you'll see a Winston in there, maybe even a Hammond if you want to get really divey with it. The Ana if you want to prevent a lot of healing. But in this case, it's just going to be kept simple and straightforward.
Two teams taking different avenues of approach to the point and are now just clashing with the Reinhardts both swinging away, getting those Zarya bubbles. It comes out a little bit later, though, for BarahNOW, and they are going to be able to push forward off the back of Crimson, swinging away, finding the double kill. They clean up this fight and will get first control here on Lijiang.
Yeah, Barah really kind of understanding that Marky Mark got pressured out really early into that fight, got hit with the Discord Orb from Switch, making them the utmost target to really just focus down and build a lot of ult charge off of. Marky Mark, by the time they got that shield back up, was up to maybe a quarter of health, so not a lot you can do there in that situation if you're the Reinhardt.
So now the early ult advantage going over to BarahNOW. Can MetaMorphic come back in here and find a way to flip this next fight on its head? We'll see in just a second as they rotate through the white halls right now. Crimson there to greet them. Both Reinhardts again getting those Zarya bubbles. Crimson has had to back off at an awkward angle, throws out the Earth Shatter, doesn't actually get anyone, but Nub will boot his counterpart off the map. Noctis is gone, and the cleanup coming through once again for BarahNOW.
Yeah, a lot of ults going to be coming online for the side of MetaMorphic. However, they will not have that grab, which can be one of the most crucial ults for locking down an opposing team. While we look at the other side, BarahNOW going to be having that grab, as well as the Diva Bomb. It's kind of one of the most predominant combos we see moving forward in terms of ultimates. That being said, I think that the side of MetaMorphic going to have a fight ahead of them.
Definitely, they will roll in behind Gatos, breaking out the rally. They caught up in the grab. The Transcendence is there. The charge, though, from Crimson is going to take Noctis out of the fight. It's a trade, though, without their Reinhardt there to protect them. The rest of Barah Nation start falling like flies there. They're down 3 kills to 2 in this fight, trying to keep it going for a little bit longer, at least stall out before this flip comes through. Nub will go down. Crimson just buying a little bit of time on his own. It's going to be about 85% on the board when the flip comes through.
Yeah, and you said it, Shy Guy. That pin from Crimson may have really been the opening that the side of MetaMorphic were looking for. Without that Reinhardt to cover a lot of the team, it was basically just...
Certainly they try to make something happen by getting a member out of that Graviton Surge. It comes back to bite Barah Nation. Now they've got to fight back in here. They're going to come in with Crimson unleashing the Earth Shatter, not finding... finding everything rather on the other side as the members of MetaMorphic fall, and their hold lasts a very short amount of time. And they are going to be coming back in here for a last-second contest. It's probably going to be on Noctis to get through the window and trigger the overtime. The Lucio is there, but can the focus fire from Barah Nation eliminate that healer? No, he does escape with his life. So now we've got a chance for MetaMorphic. They throw out the Graviton Surge, but absolutely nothing for Sayonara. He just throws that one away. And now the kill's coming back for Barah Nation. Jachara gonna find JD with that self-destruct where the MetaMorphic tank could not. And now it's all over but the crying for MetaMorphic, as Barah Nation are going to be able to get the cleanup here onto Noctis. The overtime trickles away, and Barah Nation off to an incredibly strong start.
Score 1-0.
And now we will be headed to our second map, which will be Control Center. Not likely to see a big difference in terms of the compositions these teams want to play here on this map. The Goats and the 3-3 just incredibly powerful. Jachara might break out this May, though. It's a pretty common pick here and can get a lot of value out of the environmental ability to affect with the walls and change how the battlefield looks.
Certainly. And with that, after last game between Citizens and Nevermore, I think I've definitely had my fill of Mei, but Chachara might be able to change my mind here moving forward. Will not have that diva to eat up a lot of the grabs or other projectile damage.
For sure, it can make life difficult, and they do get the wall to split Gatos off from the rest of the team, trying to collapse in onto the Brigido, but the peel seems to be there for the side of MetaMorphic. In the meantime, they lose Potion in the backline, gets taken down by Switch, and look, MD2 on the flank, coming in from behind, making it nowhere safe to look if you are Marky Mark. The freeze does come onto Sayonara, and eventually the kill as well, and now MetaMorphic once again going to be going down early.
Yeah, and it's really going to Barah to really show that these Mei walls are more lethal than just cutting off one member. It prevents the entire team from retreating once they do have that one-man loss. And pretty much as soon as Switch got those beefy headshots onto their opponent in Potion, really things started to turn massively in favor of Barah, and they just were not able to get, or MetaMorphic was not able to get away.
And they're gonna try to push back in here with the rally, but they're pushing into quite a bevy of ultimates. But the shatter from Marky Mark lays them all down. They only secure the kill onto Chinese, who need to get a little bit more. Now able to collapse onto Crimson. Switch falls as well, and MetaMorphic this time going to be able to get a swift retake, coming back in here, able to fight against the Mei with one of their own.
Yeah, the Mei still going to be buying quite a bit of stall, as will Nub on that Lucio. Still will not be enough, but looking forward for the next fight, we're going to be seeing quite a lot of ults online. We're going to be seeing 5 on the side of Barah, as well as about 3.5 on the side of MetaMorphic, so you're really going to have to be looking out. A lot of potential for just some massive ult combos to be coming through here.
Oh, and that's a great use of the wall by BarahNation. They use it to get through the choke, and Gatos down early. They throw out the grab, the Blizzard there as well. The Transcendence fades from Potion, and MetaMorphic are going to fall like flies as Barah now just pushing in so aggressively, so intelligently, and are going to be able to retake the point.
Yeah, and we talked about it. Chachara on that Mei wall was so good at just preventing that line of sight from Marky Mark. Marky Mark was lined up right next to the doorway. Just not quite able to get any swings when that Mei wall's right up in front of your face. Now also going to be looking a little bit more even. JD going to be having this Blizzard, but the Mei wall section's off Marky Mark.
And there goes the shatter, forces Marky Mark to stop pushing forward, but the Blizzard will zone them out for a little while longer. Now the grab out for the side of MetaMorphic. They do get the kill onto Nub even through the Transcendence, and are now looking to clean up the rest of this fight. They're in a 6v4 right now, trying to push forward, but they've lost 2. Chinese Food came back in with the rally, pushed right into MetaMorphic, and Barah now just turned that fight on its head.
Yeah, Barah turned what was looking like a pretty lost fight into one that, you know, came forward with quite a few victories. They will be at a little bit of shortage for ultimates themselves. MD2 going to be having that grab online shortly. Crimson as well, but Potion's going to have the Transcendence to kind of counter that. Might be worth keeping an eye on if they can even get to point.
The grab coming out now. No one's going to be able to make the Lucio of Noctis, trying to sneak in the back, but can't quite get the touch. Well played by BarahNation to deny them the ability to really extend that overtime. The wall from Chachara, MD2 with the Graviton Surge denies MetaMorphic a chance to keep that one going.
Yeah, that's perhaps one of the most satisfying to me forms of using your grab, to just lock down enemies, and you don't even have to kill them. You don't even have to worry about finishing off your plate as it is. You just have to keep them off the point. And, you know, grab's going to do that 100% of the time if it locks somebody in. So you have to be feeling pretty comfortable about that, and I like seeing those kinds of plays.
Yeah, we're seeing some really kind of cerebral stuff coming out from BarahNOW right now. You know, the use of the Mei wall to, you know, completely deny the ability of the enemy Mei to use her wall to you know, separate members of your team is really smart. The grab to keep people off the point. It shows that they're thinking very quickly about this and making some really great decisions on the fly, and it leads them to a 1-map lead here in our series.
Yeah, and that's certainly a spot they'll feel comfortable with, taking the initial leap forward into the 1-0 territory. Not too decisive in their favor just yet, but we still do have a few more maps to go. And while we're in the wait here, folks, definitely keep an eye out on all of these players. See who you think is best. Let us know so we can award them the Twitch MVP little award at the end of this broadcast here. We love hearing who you guys think is really popping off out there. So let us know in the Twitch chat below.
For sure, for sure. And now we move into the map selection phase. Paris going to be banned out by BarahNOW. That has been something that I've seen a lot of teams doing, them specifically, already in this tournament. People don't really seem to appreciate the newest map that we've got in the pool, so we are going to be going to Hollywood instead.
Yeah, and you know, it's weird because people talk about how much they don't like bunker comps from Paris, but then a lot of times I see things like, oh, we're going to Hanamura, well, let's just run the Bastion Orisa comp in there and make it work. And it's weird because that will be said by the teams that sometimes chose Hanamura but not Paris, or they banned Paris a step earlier. It's interesting to see the kind of nuances between those teams. I'm not saying I disagree. I think that Paris is a little rough at times, but it's still just interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, I think on some level, it is teams aren't fully comfortable with it yet. They haven't had like an immense amount of time to practice on it, and if no one wants to play the map, then no one really practices the map. So therefore, it's a vicious cycle. No one plays it because no one likes it, and no one likes it, or no one plays it because they don't play it. Like, if you aren't experienced on it, you're not going to pick it. So we also get the save coming through for Sombra from the side of BarahNOW, and that's a pick that they've gone back to time and time again during this event.
Yeah, however, it's going to be MetaMorphic banning the Mercy, meaning that they're perhaps, we discussed this a little bit last time around, they might be trying to prevent those DPS heavy comps, Mercy, Hammond, and 4 DPS that sometimes comes through every once in a while on teams that are just sick and tired of the 3-3.
Yeah, it almost, in a lot of ways, it restricts just what people can run a little bit. It's a nice pick because without the Mercy there, you pretty much can guarantee you're not going to see a Pharah on the other side. You're less likely to see the snipers than you would. So it kind of restricts the DPS picks that are available to the enemy team, which, you know, if you weren't planning on using them anyway, is a decent way to handle the hero ban system here. But of course, it is going to be MetaMorphic coming out on the attack here on Hollywood, trying to set the tone early and turn things around.
Yeah, they definitely want to equalize, or they want to equalize, I guess, that score 1-1. They don't want to be left hanging behind, especially you don't want to go to a 2-0 type situation. And right now, if their comp is anything to be believed, which I'm not saying it is, it's looking rather divey. But looking at the other side of the field, which I'm going to speak with a little bit more surety on, we're seeing, again, the traditional triple, as I would say. The Ryan, Zenyatta, no Winston, no Hammond, no McCree or May coming in there in place of the Diva. So very forward hold here by Barah seeming to be set up, though.
And, you know, BarahNOW are, you know, a very skilled team. They've been playing in open division. They reached playoffs last year, so they're very well versed on this 3-3 composition, and it shows that they like to keep going back to this well. They do back off and reset their defense on the inside of the choke.
Yeah, it's going to be Gato switching off of the Widow. Ooh, big picks.
Yeah, that's a little rough there for MetaMorphic. Now they try to just avoid feeding ultimate charge over to BarahNation as they look to run forward and capitalize. They might have gone a little too far. They trade Chinese food for the kill onto Marky Mark. Will get the pick onto Sayonara as well, but the late kill on Crimson could give MetaMorphic a chance to push back in here.
Yeah, MetaMorphic's going to have to be pretty decisive in getting regrouped. However, it's going to be Noctis regrouping, reassembling the team, just dragging Sayonara from point. They're going to be right back on the point, ready to cap it.
Yeah, and BarahNOW just chooses to back off, give some space. Jachara, though, comes in immediately, gets the pick onto Potion, and that is the go signal for BarahNOW as they push back in. They take down Marky Mark, collapse onto the remaining members of MetaMorphic, and stop them before they even get a tick.
Yeah, I really like the way Chinese Food was using that kit. They stood on the high ground of Cafe. As soon as they saw Mikey Mark go with shields up into the bottom section of Cafe, they jumped down, pull a 180, and shield bash the Ryan's exposed back, make him drop shield, just get absolutely focused down, burned down, and then cleaned up very easy.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of any mistakes that the MetaMorphic give them, and now things got to be a little bit cleaner for the attackers. They're going to go for a very long rotation, want to come into the Cafe from the backside this time. They do make it through cleanly, but now Crimson there to greet them with an Earth Shatter and absolutely decimates MetaMorphic.
Yeah, that was a very intense Earth Shatter. We saw, I think, 4 people go down because of it, and really, it seemed like MetaMorphic was kind of leading with the chin there. They weren't really prepared for somebody to just come through the Cafe, hit them with full force, and then just clean up the bits. That being said, there is going to be a lot of high impact pulse that can be moving forward. Both Zarya's about to have grabs online, and Earth Shatter from Marky Mark, a couple support ults on both sides. Definitely something to keep eyes on.
Oh, and this time BarahNOW, they push forward right as they're about to flow out and make the rotation. Crimson this time just waiting it with open arms as they flood into him and takes down Potion early on. They only have to use the rally to hold up that defense, and Gatos even uses his, so it's a very even situation, and that's exactly what the defenders want.
Yeah, MetaMorphic probably would have liked to see that go a little bit more ult heavy on the side of BarahNOW. They didn't really get a whole lot of ults in exchange. They are building up some of theirs, but they're already going to have to go up against a full 5 after the rally from Chinese Food.
Certainly, and they're looking to get aggressive again. At least Crimson is just wants to take the fight at all times, but the rest of his team firmly in control of the high ground right now as MD looking to lay some people out. The Shatter does knock down Gatos, but the responding grab is going to lock the members of BarahNOW up. They respond with the Transcendence to stay alive through it. They're trying to focus down targets of MetaMorphic, but everybody's staying alive right now. The grab out from the side of BarahNOW is going to give them a chance to push forward, but they've lost switch to the self-destruct. They're trying to turn this one around, but they're fighting 6v5. MetaMorphic using the rally to push forward, to surge onto Crimson and take down the Reinhardt. The remaining members of the defense are trying to turn this one around, but it's not quite happening for them. The charge from Marky Mark to close things out will secure MetaMorphic the first point in overtime.
Yeah, and it could not be any sooner for MetaMorphic. They really needed that, and they certainly had to invest a lot of ults. Both teams did to just try to maintain their position. Only one walking away with an ult after that is going to be Crimson, and I mean, that was just some high value investment there that, you know, you're happy paid off if you're the attack, but maybe for the defense, you may have wanted to keep some for the streets.
Certainly, and both teams there using the self-destruct as a defensive tool, but JD actually gets a kill with his, and that's the difference maker. That opens things up for MetaMorphic, so now they try to push back in here. Once again, Marky Mark on the front line. Crimson goes for the Shatter. This time finds nothing, but Marky Mark is not going to be denied. Lays down 3, secures the kill on the Chinese Food. Nub will fall as well, and they're going to be able to keep this payload moving.
Yeah, Crimson looked a bit too anxious on that Earth Shatter there. Activating it, I believe, either only getting Marky Mark or not getting anything. Marky Mark taking that opportunity with Crimson stunned to really just Earth Shatter a large portion of the team, build up a lot of cart progress here because of that team fight win, and they're still going to have a handful of ultimates to work with, both sides, in fact.
Certainly, they are going to be engaging with the self-destruct. Jachara going to find Sayonara with that. The Zarya out of the fight means that MetaMorphic probably don't want to stick around for this. They're going to keep trying to fight this one out, even without their main source of damage. Want to turn this one around, but Chinese Food breaks out the rally. Sound Barrier committed by both teams now as they try to keep this fight going. Sayonara could return and turn this fight around for a team. He's back in it now, but both Transcendence is the later one for BarahNOW as they look to push forward. They haven't managed to secure any kills. Gatos in trouble, gets stunned up, taken down. The Shatter for Marky Mark, not going to be able to turn things around. Only puts down Jachara, and no kill coming from that one. BarahNOW going to hang on.
Yeah, Barah hung on there, but it was a pretty delayed fight. They had the advantage of having the Zarya up when Sayonara dropped early on, and they didn't really seem to be able to capitalize upon it too early. Sayonara, in fact, got the full respawn back before they were able to get their team wiped. So you think that BarahNOW might have been a little bit more aggressive there, really trying to push their advantage.
Yeah, but it works out for them. They bled a lot of time off the clock. They open with the Shatter Hero and Potion. Will get taken out. The shield not in position to save the Zenyatta there. And now the rallies out from both sides. MetaMorphic caught up in this Graviton Surge, trying to keep this fight going. But the self-destruct not actually finding anything for Chara. And in the meantime, the rest of the kills are coming in for BarahNOW as they are just looking to clean off the rest of these members as soon as the sound barrier has been foregone. The Transcendence is there to keep Potion and the rest of MetaMorphic alive for the time being, but they don't have any way to really secure the kills, and they will get cleared off of that limousine.
Yeah, and if you're on the side of MetaMorphic, at least you got something to go with. You got something to say, hey, we made some progress. We didn't get full held at first. We made it about halfway through Streets phase. And Streets phase is probably not where they're going to be concerned with holding the strongest. I think it will be this first point. You want to burn off as much time from that clock as possible.
I'm basically going to say that they need a full hold here if they want to take this map. BarahNOW has been in control of this series kind of from the start, and if you don't do something to swing that, if you let them get through point A, I don't see them being stopped quite like MetaMorphic was. The payload really not pushing too far here. So MetaMorphic got to come up with a big defense.
Yeah, I'm a little bit curious because we saw Barah save the Sombra and then choose defense. I'm wondering if they're going to perhaps choose to run the Sombra at all on attack, if they might just use it for scouting, or if that was just kind of a throwaway save. They didn't really want to give anything away. For the time being, it's looking like that's not going to be the case. We're going to be seeing the triple once again. Oh, and MD2 potentially hopping on that Sombra.
I imagine this is, like you said, probably just for the scouting. He's played it before. They have shown a propensity to run the Sombra Goats, and it makes a lot of sense, honestly, if we're talking about what they need to accomplish with this attack. A good EMP here and another one in Streets phase more than likely means that they come away victorious on Hollywood.
Yeah, and they're not going to be playing Chara on that Zarya, instead on the D.Va. Curious, but it looks like after some immediate scouting, they're going to be switching to the 3-3. You're going to be seeing some mirror comps come out here.
Yeah, they feel comfortable after the last round that they can just match MetaMorphic hero for hero, and they will come out ahead. They are going to be poking their head out of the video room as MetaMorphic control the high ground right now. Backing up a little bit is BarahNOW, as they are going to rotate through the alley this time.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be very telling for both teams. Now that the mirror composition coming out, which one will be the dominant one?
For sure, this is incredibly important defense for MetaMorphic. They cannot afford to let this point go early. They need to make a stand here now. Right now, BarahNOW just a little bit tentative, not wanting to push around this corner just yet, really not even making an attempt to do so. Here it comes, Crimson gonna go in, gets the armor pack, gets the bubble, and is now looking to secure some kills, but gets booped and bopped around, and both teams just going to be trading their Reinhardts. The dueling Transcendence is out almost back-to-back for both teams. Who is going to come out ahead in the immediate future? Sayonara getting pushed back into the cafe, but still MD2 will fall on the Zarya. So it looks like a very even fight right now, as Crimson reinforcing, giving them a little bit more beef on the point. Still, both teams trying to make this fight their own, and that grab might be the chance for MetaMorphic to do it.
Yeah, and with that D.Va bomb, we're going to be seeing the side of Marky Mark fall, but the battle's still going back and forth. A nice shield block from MD2 on that D.Va bomb.
This has been one of the scrappiest first fights you'll ever see, but slowly but surely, it looks like it's going to BarahNOW. They've got the closer response. They can get players back in here more quickly, and that's going to give them point A on Hollywood.
Yeah, and right now we can see MD2 still kind of getting very aggressive, trying to push forward. They want to be able to buy as much space the first push through Streets phase as they can. They have 4 minutes, which is a little bit lengthier of a time than MetaMorphic had, considering they were going into overtime when they capped the first point. It's going to be looking pretty decent for BarahNOW, but not certainly not locked in just yet.
MD is up on the high ground. He's got the Graviton Surge. Might just be looking to drop this in and just end MetaMorphic right here and now. They really only have one fight. They open up with sound barriers on both sides, but Marky Mark has gone down early. There's the Graviton Surge. The charge is going to take down Gatos. And even with that Transcendence, there's not enough members of MetaMorphic remaining to really make a fight of this. JD and Noctis trying to do their best to stall things out on the cart, but there's absolutely no chance to turn that one around, and it is going to be a desperate attempt to hold for MetaMorphic.
Yeah, this is very grim for MetaMorphic. They're probably going to have to really rush to get everybody on the point at once, and even once they do, they're up against 4 ults, a very big defensive Transcendence, as well an Earth Shatter and Diva Bomb that can open up a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, Chinese Food breaks out the rally, goes for the stun onto Marky Mark, can't quite get it, but the Shatter still lays down both of those supports, and Jachara gonna pick up 2 with that self-destruct. It might be over for MetaMorphic. They do answer back with 1 onto Crimson, but they are down 2 members in this fight. They've got to find a miracle here and now if they want to turn this one around and save themselves on the Hollywood. It's just JD on the point. Noctis and Marky Mark reinforcing, but there's not really a whole lot they can do to turn this one around. The Reinhardt all on his own. And BarahNOW take a commanding 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and a lot of that was really Jachara's Diva Bomb that opened up that fight with 2 kills. Kind of Marky Mark's own hubris really kind of defeated him there. There was a moment where there was 4 members of Barah in a grab, I believe. Marky Mark goes for the Earth Shatter, gets burned down because the shield's not up, because of the animation. So it was really costly there to see not only just the one, I believe it was the Brig lose her life, but the Reinhardt as well. You lose a lot of burst healing and zone possession that way. It's not a great look for the MetaMorphic team right now.
No, they are struggling hard, and I mean it's easy to see why, because BarahNOW are just playing at a supremely high level at the moment. I think there is a very good case to be made that they are the best team in this event. And they are really showing it right now. This is a very experienced and very talented tier 3, almost tier 2 level team, and you know they are definitely asserting themselves at the moment.
Yeah, they are looking very strong. That being said, still a lot of swing potential here for MetaMorphic. They do get to pick the next map after a quick ban from BarahNOW, which is actually going to end up being Hanamura, meaning that we will not be seeing Hanamura anymore tonight. Just I think once is good enough.
I agree. I don't necessarily need to see that. We're going to be headed to Oasis. That's where MetaMorphic is going to try to turn this series around.
The Oasis pick is interesting to me because Oasis has a couple maps that are pretty dependent on the Rein-Zarya combo that kind of leads towards that triple-triple style. I'm wondering if they're kind of willing to put this once again on their triple-triple being better than BarahNOW's, because that's a test that hasn't really come up clean for them so far.
No, it definitely hasn't, and you know, it's one of those things where if that was your plan and you are sticking to your plan, I can certainly respect that, but it hasn't worked so far. So maybe they have other things in mind. Oasis is also a map where you can definitely, you know, switch things up. You have options in terms of trying to run kind of DPS compositions, but again, they ban out the Mercy, which tells me they probably aren't going in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, the Mercy's probably not as detrimental a ban here. Yeah, the quadruple DPS might be seen a little bit more commonly, but when it comes to things like the Widow or the Hanzo, something along those lines, you typically don't see that as much on this map. There's just not a lot of long sight lines. Yes, there is the high ground in, it's not Gardens, it's Shrine, Gazebo.
City Center.
Yes, city center. Thank you very much. But it's not quite enough to take advantage of those really high zoom, high distance characters.
No, the only thing that it kind of precludes is I don't think we'll be seeing any Pharah on this map, which is definitely a staple on Oasis.
Very true.
But unlikely without the Mercy in tow. So I kind of imagine we're still going to be going back to the matchup that we've been seeing pretty much all night. There's nothing to make me think otherwise at this point.
Yeah, I would. I know that these teams, as we mentioned before, probably have a plan and they're probably sticking to it. I would love to see them just shake up their 3-3s a little bit. Maybe both these players sufficient or most optimal on the Reinhardt, but Marky Mark on the Winston right now, I'd like to see that change up. I don't think that MetaMorphic has been getting as much benefit here with the Reinhardt for a number of different reasons, but I think that, you know, changing this up might at least catch BarahNOW off guard a little bit to shake them. Especially to Char's going onto that Widow. That's going to be some massive pressure from the Winston.
It definitely is, and we do have a bit of a pause here. But before we get into this, right now, Sayonara on that Tracer could be a decent tool to harass Jachara on the Widowmaker. You know, make life a little difficult for the opposing DPS. But you know, Marky Mark now swapping things up, going over to Winston. I like that change, at least on this map in particular, on City Center, the high ground. Quite important.
Yeah, absolutely. High ground is one of the most crucial aspects of a lot of first-person shooting games or just war in general. I'm sure we've all heard a couple of Sun Tzu's quotes out there. Of course, the high ground holds so much advantage, especially if you can get something like a soldier up there. You really like to see it. Doesn't look like a soldier is going to be coming through, but still the hit scan potential from that position, really dominant.
And more than anything, I think Marky Mark will be doing a good job of making sure Jachara can't kind of comfortably sit up there unimpeded. So that is probably a good thing. You know, you don't want to let the Widowmaker have free reign, and they definitely have a composition that will, you know, make things difficult for Jachara. Although, you know, we're still 10 seconds out in terms of the hero selections. I could easily see him making the last second swap back to D.Va and just going with what we've seen from them all night.
Yeah, we are just still in the middle of this little break here. One of the players calling for a quick miscellaneous break, as I'm calling it. It's not a bio break, it's not a food break as we see every once in a while, unless of course it was made by Chinese food, but I don't think that is the case. Just going to be a standard interim break, which gives us a little bit of time to kind of talk about this. Do you think that the switch here, Shy Guy, from Ryan to Winston is going to be enough to kind of rattle the nerves of Barah, regardless of how MetaMorphic actually play it?
I do not think that is the case. I do not think you're going to rattle their nerves. I think this is a pretty experienced and very solid team. On the other side, if anything, it just gives you a little bit of an edge in terms of your composition. It changes the dynamic of the series just a little bit, which I think you had to do something. You were mentioning it before we got into this map. You have to do something if you are MetaMorphic at this point. I don't necessarily I didn't want to see them come in here and just continue to run the standard 3-3 and continue to get clapped.
Yeah, and maybe they did have some sort of plan with the DPS style comps, but that being said, it's a little tough to run that when we don't have that Mercy, as we mentioned. I think that Marky Mark perhaps been a bit too aggressive on that Ryan at times. I'm curious how that's going to transition over to this Winston play that we're seeing right now. Winston, of course, has the capability to just, you know, launch himself into battle at such a higher rate or at a farther distance than the rest of the team that it can be a feed, but I'm not saying that that's going to be the case here.
No, it changes the dynamic a lot. He has a lot more mobility, so if you can avoid using that jump pack to, you know, initiate and get engaged in the fight and save it for kind of an escape tool, it can allow you to get away with things that you can on the Reinhardt. But at the same time, Winston, quite squishy. If you get the Brig Bash and the Zarya on the other side just laying into you, your health pool can disappear in an instant.
Yeah, and I like to talk about the comparison between ults. With Marky Mark, there's not going to be a huge chance to block Crimson's ults. You have to have some really superior, like Winston mentality and mindset to block that Earth Shatter with the bubble. Meanwhile, your Primal Rage is at best going to do a lot of environmental damage and kills, but at worst will just be an absolute feed. I think that it's a little bit more of a volatile position from the ult perspective of the Winston.
Sure, he is going to jump up to the high ground right now as BarahNOW rotate around to the jump pack. They are going to take firm control of this, and use that as their avenue of approach, as MetaMorphic is just going to park themselves on the other side of the point. Next charge from Crimson there gets to stay on the high ground as he goes into swing onto Marky Mark. And now they can drop down and kind of push MetaMorphic back. The stun does come in on the Marky Mark. He has to back off a little bit. All of the members of MetaMorphic going very, very low. Now they're trying to push into this choke point against the enemy Reinhardt. They've already given up the point. The Shatter built up so quick for Crimson. He lays them all out. And that's going to be BarahNOW rolling through.
Yeah, going to be a lot of progress, or a lot of work done by Barah just to get those kills to really come through for them. And one thing I'm realizing, Switch pretty much getting some easy discords onto the rest of the team MetaMorphic, because there's not really anything to block that discord. We were talking about the same thing kind of in theory with the Reinhardt Earth Shatter, but really the Reinhardt shield prevents a lot of discord coming through from the enemies in Yada that the Winston bubble just might not be able to prevent if he gets displaced in a poor position.
And now Marky Mark has already given up on the Winston. He knows it's going to be hard to push back in here. The rally's on both sides, but Gatos goes down. He gets focused out, immediately loses his ultimate for pretty much no benefit whatsoever. And MetaMorphic forced to go on the retreat. They even lose JD out of the mech. And he will likely throw himself off the edge and join his team again, but they are in quite the hole now.
Yeah, that switch from Marky Mark did give up quite a bit of ult charge. Weren't quite able to build up too much of it either, considering Gatos got killed so early on into that fight. They're going to be walking into a sound barrier, a grab, transcendence, diva bomb, a lot of stuff that can be used by Barah to really manipulate them and get them from getting too much ult progress in the first place.
And there's the Graviton Surge, the bomb in over the top. The charge from Crimson does take down JD while he's out of the mechs, but he gives his life for it. That's a decent trade for MetaMorphic as they trade Jachara for Sayonara as well, trying to push back in here. They've still got Marky Mark in here to shield up the team, but they don't have the most damage. They really need Potion to be the one to come in big. They're going to try to surge forward with the rally, but the reinforcements are here now for both sides pretty much as they try to turn this one around. Nub going to take down Marky Mark, and without their main tank BarahNOW just looking to surge forward. They will secure the kill onto Gato. Sayonara falls as well. And even the late transcendence from Potion is not going to be enough to really keep his teammates alive. JD out of it, and Noctis not going to be able to keep things going. BarahNOW coming up big.
Yeah, that was one of the situations where it just... We talked about how we'd like to see the switch come through for MetaMorphic. Yes, they tried to run the Winston, but the problem was they switched and they were behind on ult economy for the remainder of the major fights going forward, and they weren't really able to catch up. Also, some really good staggered kind of retreats coming from MD2, really kind of pulling back and then getting a little bit of damage, pulling back, getting a little bit of damage after Crimson had dropped, meaning that they were still able to give that Rhine time to come in and not give up the point progress. I like to see it.
Certainly, they knew that he was going to be able to be back quick, and they took advantage of his ability to return to the fight in time, and they kind of baited MetaMorphic into a disadvantageous fight. So now MetaMorphic, it all comes down to this. They've got to win everything from here on out. Cannot afford to give up another point. They're going to rotate up to the high ground behind Marky Mark's shield. Do avoid the boots from both sides. There's no one going off the edge just yet, but it's going to be MetaMorphic taking control of the high ground. They drop down now. both teams playing this kind of slowly at the moment. The stun comes in on the Sayonara, puts him incredibly low, and Crimson gonna clean up that kill as well as taking down Gatos. The charge is gonna lay both rounds on their backs, but Marky Mark is the one to pay for it in the end, as again, BarahNOW take first control.
Yeah, and the kills were kind of there from the side of Nocturnal, just not in as dominant a fashion, not as strong as you might like. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a whole lot in favor of them in terms of resources moving forward. Barah going to be having that Reinhardt Earth Shatter online if the fight goes on long enough. Switch as well as Nub going to be having those ults build up too to give themselves a little bit more sustain. But meanwhile, on the other side, you just have maybe Potion getting that trance.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every ult either in favor or even for Barah Nation, and they force out Potion's Transcendence incredibly early in MetaMorphic. Not going to be able to actually get anything out of that now. Switch going to unleash his, and BarahNOW trying to make this fight their own. They've got MetaMorphic kind of split up at the moment and turned around. Marky Mark, I think he just dropped out of the game because he was AFK in the corner, swinging away at absolutely nothing. So that is not great for MetaMorphic, not gonna lie.
Yeah, they're having a tough game and losing their main tank in the middle of a team fight. To come back from spawn with 0 ult charge, definitely going to make things a little bit more painful upon the reconnect. But just looking at what we can see right now, I mean, you know, things were looking all right. They were looking winnable for MetaMorphic. They had a bit of point progress. That means that they kind of had to keep Barah onto the point. And, you know, that may have been a point where they might have been getting some point progress. Their health pool is looking really good. Crimson actually very low. So if the focus fire came through from the side of Marky Mark and company, they may have been able to get that turned around, but it's hard to see that happening without their main shield here on the field in the next, well, in the remainder of this fight.
Yeah, and they have a slight chance here if they can immediately take down Crimson. If they can focus him down in the first half second after this pause comes undone, they have a chance to turn it around. But Marky Mark going down or losing out, just disappearing out of this fight is worst case scenario. He was at 93% on his ultimate before he left. And now back to 0. So that is a brutal situation. They do get Crimson immediately, so it's not quite over yet for MetaMorphic. They are going to commit the sound barrier into this fight, but that grab's still online for MD2. Looking to lay that one down, but will get taken down by Potion. MetaMorphic might be doing this.
Yeah, MetaMorphic going to be swinging back a little bit here. Marky Mark going to be getting back just about at the same time as Crimson, I imagine. And we're going to see some point flip. I like that. And it's just in time. Sayonara and JD going to be having that grab bomb combo, as well MD2 and Chichara. So definitely something that the Ryans will have to be on their toes for to be able to shield properly.
MetaMorphic have bought themselves a little bit of life here, but they still don't have very much wiggle room. Maybe one fight that they can lose before it is all over for them. So they will control the high ground. Sayonara waiting to unleash the grab. MD2 with that one as well. So the battle of the Zarya ultimates here could decide how this next fight goes, as the contest coming through from BarahNOW. They're just trying to put some pressure onto the point, force them to drop from the high ground, but so far MetaMorphic are not fighting.
Yeah, it does not seem to be the case. They're taking it real slow. They know that they have a little bit of time on the clock. They don't seem like they want to make hasty pushes if they can get it right with one execution.
No, they seem content to just let Noctis be the one to contest the point. JD dropping down, and the rest of the team going down now. Forces out the grab from Switch very early. A shatter from Marky Mark does lay down Chinese food, but it's going to be Crimson's, who's just a little bit bigger. Still, the kills are there for MetaMorphic. Potion chiming in with the double, and they will continue this hold. They will even up the score and even surpass BarahNOW.
Yeah, a little bit of bad news for the side of MetaMorphic. They will not have the defensive capabilities that are going to be coming online for BarahNOW. BarahNOW going to be having sound barrier as well as the rally, where it's looking like only the sound barrier might be online on behalf of a Noctis. So definitely something to keep an eye out. But MetaMorphic keeping this high ground position, you really got to like that. They have just one person on the ground to contest. The rest just kind of brawl and fight from up top.
And they can lay in a ton of damage from up there. Already a couple members of MetaMorphic going low, though. They're trying to keep this one going. Marky Mark having to drop down onto the point, is getting pressured out. The sound barrier is committed for both teams, trying to keep this one going. But it is going to be BarahNOW coming out healthier for it. Marky Mark goes for the charge and falls in the meantime. That opens the door for the shatter from Crimson, and the kills will follow shortly after.
Yeah, it's just looking a little bit discombobulated from MetaMorphic here. Did not quite seem to know what to do once the team started pushing in on full force. We saw JD try to dip down, but they got a little too pressured. And then, of course, Marky Mark did not either got focused down past the sound barrier or just did not receive the sound barrier and got immensely punished because of that positioning mistake by the rest of the team. It was pretty brutal, but they will have a few ults to swing back here if they can manage to stall out.
Yeah, this is their last chance, though. They can extend the series, force us to a third point here on Oasis, or it could be all over for the MetaMorphic as they try to push in with Gatos' rally, trying to buy some position for their team. The grab now coming out from the side of Baron Nation, puts them in an awkward spot, forces out the trans from Potion. The shatter from Marky Mark and the grab to follow it up is giving them the advantage in this fight. They're up 6v4. They take away Crimson's Earthshatter with that bash from Gatos. They're pushing the remaining members of BarahNOW back to their spawn, back towards their underground, and they will be able to take it. MetaMorphic pull it off, have forced us to a 0.3 here on Oasis.
Yeah, and I believe it was Gatos who got that shield bash stun onto the Reinhardt's Earth Shatter from Crimson. And that is a good play. Crimson had the potential to kind of swing things back there. Things were looking a little bit even in numbers. I believe it was like 4-5, 4-3, something along those lines. And an Earth Shatter onto two people really could have done a lot more damage than it might in a traditional 6 versus 6 type situation. So really good awareness, really good head on a swivel there from Gatos.
For sure, for sure. And now they've given themselves a chance to force us to a map 4. They could take the win here on University. They are going to be rolling out once again with that vanilla 3-3 style, but Chachara breaking out the Mei yet again. He got the wall in behind several members of MetaMorphic. Potion walled off, and they collapse in onto Marky Mark. They will take out the Reinhardt, the Zarya gone as well for MetaMorphic. And BarahNOW take control early on.
Yeah, and this just looks like it kind of caught MetaMorphic off of guard. They didn't really seem too hesitant about kind of watching those chokes as much. It seemed like they thought that they would kind of be making contact at the same time. But of course, that Mei getting the upper hand with that ice wall would be super aggressive. I'm sure they'll be a little bit more aware of it now, but I don't know. Chachara's been not insufficient on this Mei so far.
Certainly, and now they've got lots of choke points to work with. He gets the wall behind about 5 of them. The biotic grenade, though, going to be able to keep everyone healthy. Potion making the swap over to the Ana to try to punish the lack of a diva on the other side. Now MetaMorphic pushing in with the rally, responded by Chinese food as they battle over this choke point right now. Chachara just waiting for the chance to use the wall, throws it down in the middle, buys them some time. Oh, but throws it down right as Crimson unleashes the shatter. They're trying to get the kills off of that, but JD throws in the self-destruct, takes down MD2, and it's a 6v5 for MetaMorphic. They lose their main tank, so that Sayonara caught up in the blizzard and cannot escape. So now things once promising for MetaMorphic have fallen apart.
Yeah, and that was a lengthy build up here for Barah. They managed to get almost 60% before the next fight's even going to be taking place. They still have a few good number of ults. Potion not being on that Zenyatta means no Transcendence will be available to counter MD2's grab, though it might be something to keep heads up on in this next fight.
They do have the sound barrier, and they are going to use that very early on. The counter shatter coming out from Marky Mark is excellent, but they cannot kill Crimson before the sound barrier from Nub will save the Reinhardt for BarahNOW. Both teams trading kind of evenly in terms of ult usage at this point. Sayonara still has the Graviton Surge, but Switch is ready and waiting with the Transcendence there. They're trying to wait, then push in. Our MetaMorphic, they take down Chachara very early on, despite the wall coming through. They've got the advantage, but Crimson throws out the shatter, only gonna knock Gatos down, but the kill will be secured by Chinese Food. He's going on a rampage now, gets the stun onto Marky. Crimson finishes the job, and it might be all over for MetaMorphic. They tried their best here on Oasis, but it's not going to be enough to keep BarahNation from closing out the sweep.
Yeah, it is going to continue to be BarahNOW, continuing to just have some supreme dominance in this game here. And man, it was looking a little bit hopeful for MetaMorphic after that last round, but they just could not recover the Mei, throwing them through all sorts of loops they just did not seem prepared for.
No, they definitely had a hard time dealing with it, and you know, they did a decent job of it the first time around, but here on Oasis, I think it catches them off guard, like you said, and they just can't make the adaptations to it. The Ana was a nice attempt, but they just don't get enough out of that pick, and it will not be enough in the end for them to turn things around. They still have a chance, of course, in the lower bracket, but BarahNOW punching their ticket to the winners final.
Yeah, and they will be feeling pretty comfortable about that, needless to say. Now, that being said, it does mean we have our, I guess, main bracket semi-finalists, if you prefer, picked out and figured here. We are going to be seeing Citizens from, I guess, earlier 2 hours ago go up against the team of BarahNOW. I know Citizens is going to be looking for a little bit of a challenge, at least it seems so after their post-game interview discussing Nevermore. So hopefully BarahNOW going to be able to give them a little bit more of a run for their money.
Absolutely, and I cannot wait for that matchup. But to kind of wind us down here, we are now joined by a member of the victors. It is Chinese Food joining us for the interview. How are you feeling after that one?
Feeling pretty good. Like, I honestly were going into the team expecting them to be pretty good, but you know, the last thing that they had Gaudo, he was a pretty good main tank, but they were expecting to have a good fight, but we pretty much just rolled them.
Yeah, and we were talking about that. You guys seemed pretty even as far as ours go, but I kind of covered that how that doesn't necessarily acclimate to team play if you build it based off of the ladder, whatever the case may be.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys had a little bit of a control over the entirety of the game. The only shift we really saw was the second submap of Oasis, where I think it was Gardens. It was a very brutal.
Yeah, there was a reason for that. Why we lost that map.
Is that was it on you guys' end or?
Yeah, we used ults when we shouldn't have, and it pretty much put us at a huge ult disadvantage coming into the next fights.
Well, at least you can look at it this way. It's better to realize that now when you still get the win than perhaps when you're going up against some bigger fish as it goes and getting punished for it too severely.
For sure. And I saw your team on both of our second two maps went with Sombra as the hero you chose to save. But never actually really broke out the hero at all. Is that just something that you like to have in your back pocket if things go wrong?
Yeah, definitely. One of our, we don't really like bunker maps that much. That's why we man Paris, and pretty much we save Sombra because if they ran bunker on Hollywood, we would have a counter pick for it. Yeah, but they never really ran bunker, so we just never had to use it.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit, and you guys obviously saved the Sombra to go against bunker. If they had run bunker, would that have changed you guys off of the 3-3? Would you have just swapped in that Sombra, maybe gone for a little bit more divey? What would your plan have been there if that had been the process for them going forward?
I mean, we can pull out a couple of comps against bunker, but definitely involving Sombra, maybe a Goats variant with an Ana, where we can just run them over with just out-rotating them in general. Because once you get close enough to them, especially on Hollywood, you can just go right and go into the little server room, and then they can't do anything. Yeah,
definitely makes sense. Bunker comps, they're not invulnerable as much as the lower ranks might tell you. They're not they're not impossible, but kind of winding it down here as we get towards the end of this cast, I want to ask you about you personally. I got two questions for you. One, what do you prefer to play if you're, just doing some quick play or just chilling out? Who's your go-to hero to just kind of have fun with?
I totally recommend Hammond. I think he's one of the best character in the game. Even though he's the most annoying character to play against, but he's really easy to counter. If you just play Mei or Sombra, but you can just fly around the map like no other character. It's really fun.
A person after my own heart. And this one I'm asking just because, well, you'll see why here in a second. But given your name, what is your favorite type of Chinese food, or what is your favorite dish of Chinese food?
I'm kind of a original boy. I like chicken fried rice and some dumplings. That's my to-go.
All right. Well, I definitely respect that pick. I can't say I'm not a fan of the classics as well. And yeah, we're going to be wrapping it up here. We are just waiting for our producer to drop that MVP vote in the chat for us so we know which one of you guys is going to be getting that MVP award. But I think we'll be wrapping up the post-game interview. Chinese Food, thanks for dropping by and answering a few questions, hanging out with us.
Thank you for having us. It's really fun.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you guys later on in the month.
So let me ask you this now, Sir Waltham. Okay. If you were picking our MVP, well, what would you be going with here?
Oh, see, that's a little unfair because I'm a big fan of tank play, and I really liked kind of the work that MD2 was putting forth on Zarya. I saw a lot of that high ground possession really try to come through, especially on Hollywood. I noticed it the most, probably like in the cafe and in the offices near First Point. There was a lot of possession there. I really liked that. So I would say that MD2 probably be my favorite, but we do actually have the viewer votes in, and it looks like for this match, Crimson from BarahNOW going to be the MVP as chosen by Twitch. So congratulations to Crimson to winning the MVP award for tonight's match. Congratulations to BarahNOW as well for getting the win here and being able to move on in the main bracket. And thank you folks at home for being able to tune in and hang out with us. This has been a broadcast here from the Watchers, the Overwatchers Watchers Brawl as we go. And for your casting, I have been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch, Sir Waltham Gaming, or Twitch, Sir Waltham.
You can find me at ShyGuyOW, and thank you, of course, to everyone joining us. Be sure to tune in. We will have games running throughout the rest of the week as we wrap up this bracket. And, of course, in a few days, we've got the semifinals against BarahNOW, who we just saw going up against Citizens, who we saw earlier in the night. And that is going to be an absolute banger of a game.
Definitely believe so. So be sure and join us for all the next coming maps. You don't want to miss it. But for the time being, we want to say have a great night, everybody, and stay safe out there.